y'all, Gramma Rose here. It is July. Actually, it's the second week in July, and we are having incredibly cool temperatures. It's getting hot in the daytime. It's in the upper 80s, but usually this time of year it's in the mid 90s. So we are rooster. So we are 10 degrees cooler than usual. It's still hot, but it's not as hot as it could be. In fact, I checked the temperature. I looked at the thermometer a little while ago, and it was only 78. That's unheard of. I'll take it. I am enjoying the cool temperatures. And I think if you lived here in the deep south where I live, you would enjoy the cool temperatures too. Now, I see that people in the Pacific Northwest are still wearing long sleeve shirts because it's unseasonably cool for them. I guess it's that way all over the country. I don't know. I've seen some people say it's really, really hot. However, that's beside the point. The point is, I want to give you a garden tour today. Let's look around and see what's growing, what's not growing, the disasters, the not so disasters, and just, it is what it is, and rooster. It is what it is, and rooster, right. Okay, so let me turn the camera around and let you see my garden. I will try not to do a long tour, but I always try not to do a long tour. We'll see how successful I am today. So, okay, let me turn the camera around and let you see my garden. So actually, I didn't turn the camera around. I just walked to the other side of the camera. So I wanted to show you. That dadgum rooster is just out of his mind today. I just wanted to show you how pretty my herb garden looks. Turn this. Bring this down so you can see a little bit. There we go. This is my new herb garden, the one that I planted this year. It's doing really, really well. I bet it looks a little bit different than the last time you saw it. And I'm sure it does. It has really filled in. So let me pick up the camera, walk over here, and I'll show you what's going on. And I won't stop at the herbs. I'll show you more of the garden too. I'm not going to do a full tour of the whole property, but I can look around this part of my fenced backyard or my fenced side yard where my kitchen garden is and my herb garden is. So here we go, y'all. Okay, we are right here by the back door. And if you notice right down here, I have my post pounder on the ground because I still have another T-post that I need to put up. It's heavy and I can only do it one or two at a time. But my tomatoes are falling over and I'm replacing some of the wooden stakes that I have them tied up to with T-post. So I still have one more to go. This is my sweet basil. This is the Genovese basil. And behind it back there, with the balsam that's flowering, is some rosemary. And right in here, that is a ginger, but this is not the culinary ginger. This ginger has white flowers and blooms later on in the fall or late summer. And it smells like ginger. The root smells like ginger. And I'm sure it's probably edible, but it's not the same one as you grow that you buy at the grocery store. I'll show you that in a little bit. Now, right in here, this is my yarrow. Now, the yarrow is doing well. I don't believe it was blooming the last time you saw my garden. And in with the yarrow, right in here, if you see, there's a little feathery looking plants, little tiny little pink flowers. Can you see those little pink flowers? That's grass. We don't want that. But right here, little delicate pink flowers. That's my jewels of opar. And behind that, right in there, is marshmallow. And there's some more marshmallow right back in there. Right here behind the zinnia. Now this is licorice basil. It tastes very similar to the regular Genovese basil, but it's a little bit stronger. And next to it, this is cinnamon basil. The cinnamon basil was a free seed given out by Baker Creek last year. And I still have some seeds of it. And it's nice. It's really, really nice, and it does smell cinnamony. That's a new word, cinnamony. Here on this side, zinnias. I've got zinnias tucked in here and there. Any place I had a spot that was empty, I planted a zinnia. So that's what's in here. Here's the cinnamon basil. And down here low is another little basil. Now this is one I got from M.I. Gardener. And darn, I don't remember what the name of it is. But it's a little miniature. Rather strong though. The grass got cut yesterday, so we've got grass in there. But it's a nice little border plant. It's a nice edging plant. And here's, again, there's the jewels of opar. And so it's really nice having an edible leaf with these pretty flowers. And you can see why I bought it the first time I bought it, just because of the flowers, because it is lovely. And more basil back in there. That, I believe, is Persian basil. And over here next to it, someplace in there, I don't see it, is an opal basil. I do see it. Right down in there. Can you see the opal basil? The Persian basil is quite a bit bigger. And I don't remember what this is next to it. But I have cardinal basil in here, and it's not flowering yet. The comfrey's flowering back in here. And I have borage. The borage fell over. That's the borage right there. I probably need to cut that back, and hopefully it'll come back. I don't see any flowers on it right now. It's looking pretty sad. But this little path that I have through here, the little brick path that I've got right in here, is totally taken over by the herbs. Now what you see right in here is chocolate mint. And there's a comfrey. And as I said, back in there is another comfrey, and that one's flowering. And all back in here, over all the way to the fence, is chocolate mint. Now, growing on this fence over here is noodle beans. And they're just starting to take off. They're not flowering yet. Well, at least I haven't seen any flowers yet. But look what I did. I have the post up here, looks sort of like an arbor, and I wrapped chicken wire around the post to give the beans something to grab hold to. And they're doing better over here on this side. They're actually starting to grow up on that post. Roses are flowering. That one's buds. Showing color on that one. And this is tall. These are 5.5 feet tall probably. So there's one. This is the Summer Romance Rose. It's a floribunda by the rose breeder called Cordes, Kordes. And it's very, very fragrant. Nice rose. So if you're looking for a pretty rose, it's a shrub rose that doesn't have any problems with diseases. Look at this. We've had rain almost every single day for the past month. And you don't see any kind of disease. No black spot on these leaves. That's unheard of. Now these need to be deadheaded. And I need my clippers out here to do that, to do it properly. Most people just take the spent flower like that and just pop it off. You can do that, but you need to then come back by with your clippers and then clip it down to do at least a 5 leaflet on the stem, one that's going to make the growth come out towards you. And look who's in my garden. Look over this way. Mama hen and her babies are in my garden. And they've been doing damage too. Mama's teaching the babies where they can find tomatoes. So let's walk over here on the other side of my steps and look at this cucumber. Going all the way up. Actually, it's clinging to the screen on my screen door. It's taken over this whole trellis. And I'm starting to see some female flowers on it, but so far it has not produced a single cucumber. Here is pineapple sage. And back over in here, this is a mustard that's flowering. This mustard is a really spicy mustard. I believe it's got golden frills, I believe is the name of it. And I don't remember where I bought it. But it tastes like horseradish. It's so spicy. It's really good. The balsam is in full seed practically. Look at all the seed pods on this. And I need to come in here and collect these seeds before they pop open, and I have a real problem with balsam in my flower beds next year. Now here's one of my problems. These are tomatillos, and I have 2 tomatillo plants. And you're supposed to be able to grow tomatillos as long as you have 2 tomatillo plants to cross-pollinate. And they're producing tomatillos. You can see here, down in there. See, there's one on there. And if you look under here, I don't know if you can see any. I'm not seeing any on here because they're falling off. They looks like they get pollinated and they start growing and then they fall off. So I have not harvested the first tomatillo. And I don't know what to do. Because it says, I have read that all it takes is to have 2 plants and then you'll be able to get the fruit on it. But maybe it means 2 plants of two different varieties. I don't know, because it's not working for me. But one thing that is working for me are the eggplants. Right over here. Look at the eggplants. Pretty ones. And yes, I do have problems with flea beetles. The flea beetles are making my leaves lacy, but they're not eating as much as they could, and there's still enough leaf on there to photosynthesize, so there's not a problem. See right in there? What else do we have? What else can I show you? The squash in here is huge. I picked squash earlier today, and I actually canned 8 pints of squash, of summer squash today. See over here, there's more of the squash back there. Look back here. Now this is patty pan, white patty pan squash. You can see them? You see them in there? See, if I can get in here so you can see better. There we go. So there's some babies. And there's another one right in here. It's a tiny little one. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of patty pan squash. Back over in here, this one that has the variegated foliage is called an 8-ball squash. It's like a zucchini, but it's round. Like a pool, you know, they call it 8-ball like in playing pool. But I haven't had very many of these. Back in here. I'm not seeing any of those. Now I mentioned showing you my other ginger. Well, this is the other ginger. I have it in this galvanized tin tub, and it's doing pretty well. But this I just got some ginger from the grocery, and it's growing. It's doing well for me. More squash. Look at all the seeds. The seed pods on this balsam, isn't that something? It's beautiful. Look here. The babies can go right through that fencing. Mama has to go over the fence, but the babies can go through the fencing. This is one of the rudbeckia that I planted from seed this year. It's starting to flower. I believe this is called Indian Summer. I'm not positive of the variety of it, but I believe it's Indian Summer. And hydrangeas. And I have equisetum, horsetail. And that's a problem. It's not that huge a problem. And I know actually it is a medicinal herb, so I don't get all of it. Again, surprising the things that are medicinal herbs. And equisetum is one of them. And there's grass in here that I keep pulling out, and it keeps coming back. I guess I'm not getting the roots. But that's what's going on here. Let's see, back in here someplace, right here. Right there. That's New Zealand spinach, and it's tasty. It is good. Let's look over here. Right here, I put some chicken wire up here so this Malabar spinach will have something to grow on. And it's starting to grow. I've been picking some of it for salads, and it tastes good. Really, really tasty. And then look through here, and the pretty phlox. So I've got my flowers mixed in with my vegetables and herbs. And there's a celosia. And back in there, against the fence, is hollyhocks. They haven't grown very tall, and I'm hoping they will flower. If they don't flower this year, maybe they will next year. I hear a chicken. I hear a little baby chick. Oh, they're outside the fence now. So look over here. So here's more. This is zucchini, and there's not a zucchini on it today. I checked, like I said, I canned squash today. No zucchini. No yellow squash except a little baby. I see one yellow squash right in there. That's going to be big enough to pick probably today, tomorrow or the next day. These blueberries are gone, but the blueberries under here, back in there, are starting to turn. All I'm seeing right now are some red ones, but I've seen some cardinals flying in and out of there. So I think they're finding blueberries that are getting ripe. I'm just missing them so far. My elderberry is in full fruit. Look at that. Look at the size of those heads of the fruit, the berries. You see that? Let me walk over here. Now I'm going to have to move this squash out of the way to walk by it. This is again, there's another little yellow squash down in there. You see that in there? Here, move this leaf and maybe you can see. There we go. Right down in there is another yellow squash. I have cherry tomatoes growing up here on the fence. And this fence has fallen over. These wooden posts that I put in here from a pecan tree, actually, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago I suppose, have finally rotted and the fence is falling over. So I mentioned T-posts. So I have a T-post right here that I put up right there, pounded in, and I need to pull the fence back over again and tie it up to the T-post. And there's that last T-post leaning up against the fence. So let me walk through here. I have to step carefully because I have to step into this flower bed, or into the tomato bed. And in there is also some, what is that? That's lemon basil in here. That right there is lemon basil. Be very careful. There we go. So the red monarda, the red bee balm is flowering. And I was going to look back in here and see if there were any blueberries. Looking back in there, I see blueberries, but they're not ripe. But look at this elderberry. There's a grapevine clambering through the elderberry. And right down in there is a little borage among the bee balm. And there's an herb that we're going to talk about another time. It's a medicinal herb. We will talk about that another day. And here's another borage that I put right in here. And it's not growing like the one that I had on the other side of the garden, but it's doing okay. And look at these grapes. You see the little grapes? I don't know what kind of grape it is, but it's not like the wild grapes that I have on the other side of my property. Don't know what it is. I'll find out when they get ripe. So again, be careful stepping in here. Now, okay, so I have shown you this part of the garden, and the tomatoes growing on this side of the fence. These are cherry tomatoes, are doing well. A lot better than the ones on the side. Some of them are ripe, not quite ripe enough to pick yet. This one here with the small tomatoes is a sun gold, and I've been picking those. And I see one here. That's a blueberry. There. I've gotten a few of those. And more through there. See, there's more sun gold. Now, notice the yellow leaves. I need to get out here and pick off these yellow leaves. These tomatoes are not going to be lasting very much longer. See, this one needs to be tied up again. It appears to be doing okay. This is the one that's called a gobstopper. It should be doing better than this. It's doing all right, but it doesn't have the number of fruit on it that I had expected. Looking forward to tasting it though. And right in here on this trellis, arch trellis, are cucamelons. They're good. They're tasty. They taste similar to cucumbers, but a little lemony at the same time. They're really good. Here's more. Down here, Makajari melon. There's a little baby Makajari melon. And with the tomatoes. But I don't have very many of those. There's only one of them that's any size. Now look at these tomatoes. This is sad. As I said, these posts have rotted. And so they've fallen over. And since they've fallen over, they're bringing the tomatoes that are higher down close to the ground. And the chickens are getting to them. So they're right there in the middle. You can see I have one T-post up, and I've got another T-post to put in here. But I'm getting ripe tomatoes. The huge tomato that was over here, I picked the other day, and it weighed almost 2 pounds. Do you remember the one that was weird? I'll show you that one in a second. So that weird tomato, as I said, weighed almost 2 pounds. So I'm still getting tomatoes in here. As I said, the mamas are bringing their baby chicks in here, teaching them how to eat tomatoes. And that does not make me happy. But we've got lots of cherry tomatoes, doing great on the cherry tomatoes. And I've had enough tomatoes that I've harvested to get 4 quarts, which is not nearly as many as I had hoped to get. But the season's not over yet. Now this is a, what is it, Market More 70, is it 76 cucumber. So here's a little cucumber, one there, and there's some more in here. But they're not producing like I had hoped they would. Here's some more of these grapes. Is that something? And these are not muscadines. I don't know what kind of grapes these are. We'll find out. Now over here is this is the loofah. It's called a ridged loofah. So it's a different species of loofah than the one that you use for a bath sponge. However, and it's edible. So it's used as similar to okra. If you pick it young, you can cook it like okra. Fry it up and use it any way you would okra. But it actually is a gourd. You see all the flowers. These are male flowers. And I don't have any fruit on it yet. No baby loofahs yet. I thought I saw a female flower, but it has not, it looks like it was not pollinated. Where is it? I've lost it now. But anyway, that's what this is. So this one right here too, look right here, right there. See that right here? That's a female. And I don't know if it got pollinated or not. I guess we'll find out. Now in here, that's one of my watermelons. It's coming out to here. And again over here is another watermelon. And back over there in that corner is a third watermelon. I can see the leaves coming through there. So another thing that I need to do is get out here with my pruning shears and cut down all this iris leaves. The iris has already flowered this year, and I can cut down the leaves and eventually dig it up. So that's pretty much it as far as this part of the garden. So there's things that need to be done, definitely need to be done. Number one on my list of things that need to be done is come back in here with these tomato plants and prune them some more and get off these yellowing leaves. I have been pruning them a good bit, just not enough. We've had so much rain that I haven't been able to get out here and get done what I wanted to get done. Tomatoes that need to be tied up. they need to be tied up. But this is taller than the support that I have for it. So I don't know what to do. Next year, I know what I'm going to do. Already planning for next year. These cherry tomatoes are doing wonderful. No, I already know what I'm doing next year. Next year, I'm getting cattle panels. I'm going to put, well, there's a post right there. All I'll need is 3 T-posts, probably. One at one end, one at the other end, probably in there. And then I've already got the one in here in the middle. So I need 3 T-posts for each panel. Because the panels are 16 feet long, that would put the T-posts spaced 8 feet apart, which would be fine. That'd be perfect. So, and I made a mistake with these marigolds. I got these marigold seeds from Park Seed Company, and they had a variety of marigolds that they sold for planting in your garden, for interplanting with your garden plants, with your vegetables. Well, that's perfect. So I bought some. They turned out that they're huge. They have small flowers, but they're tall. And you see how these have fallen over too. Look at this tomato right there. Look at that. So next year I will be putting cattle panels in this garden. And I should not have any problems with these sticks falling down. See these sticks right here? The tomatoes are heavy. And look at here. Look here. Yeah. So there's another one that's been picked by the chickens. All of the beans have come out. They stopped producing. And they were really crowding out these tomatoes. That was a mistake. That's a mistake that I won't do again. I'm not going to be planting bush beans with my tomatoes again next year. But I tried. It was a good experiment. And I did get quite a few beans out of here. So it wasn't a total failure. It just wasn't as successful as I had hoped it would be. Again. Oh, look at this. This is watermelon. That's watermelon growing up this trellis. Hope it's a little one. But that's fine. That's great. It'll be fine. I may not have a whole lot of melons, but if I have 1 or 2, that's great. That's more than I would have had if I hadn't planted the seeds. If I had not tried, I would not have gotten a single one. So there's one that I would definitely have. And if you see, I tied it up with a piece of tulle netting, like a bridal veil, except this is green. And I tied it on here to this clip, and then the clip is clipped up here, and it looks like it's coming loose, so I need to fix that. Actually, what I need to do here is take this piece of the tulle and then tie that to this right here, to that wire. Here's a good one. Here's a good one. Yum. This is the only hybrid tomato I have in my whole garden. And it is doing much better than anything else I'm growing. So maybe having hybrids is not such a bad idea. I still like my heirlooms, but hybrids are really productive. And if I want to can a whole lot of tomatoes and put them up for storage, then it might be a good idea for me to plant some hybrids. I can still plant the heirlooms, but that doesn't mean that everything I plant has to be heirloom. There's nothing wrong with hybrid tomatoes or hybrid crops whatsoever. It's just a cross, just like anything else. And people say you can't save the seeds from hybrid plants, whatever kind of plants. You can't save the seeds. The seeds aren't going to grow. Yes, they are. The seeds are going to grow, but they're not going to be like the ones that you got them from. They're not going to be from their parent, the parent that you collected the seeds from, because that's a hybrid. What they're going to do is revert back to their ancestors. Just like your children don't all look exactly like you, all your children are hybrids. Actually, yeah, because you could think of like you and your husband are different varieties. If you're a female, or if you're a male, then you and your wife are different varieties. And when your children are born, then they're going to have characteristics that look like both of you. And then your grandchildren may have characteristics that look like you, and not necessarily like their parents. So that's the way hybrid seeds work. They're going to grow, but you just can't depend on them being exactly like the parents that they got the seeds from. They may be better. You never know. Or you could have a really, really beautiful red tomato that lasts a long time on the shelf, and it doesn't taste like anything. Or you could have another one that all it does, it's not so great, but it stores a long time. What they've done is they've taken tomatoes, or they've taken fruit that maybe it has the characteristics that they want. So they want something that stores a long time so they can ship it, and it'll stay at the grocery store without turning bad on the grocery store shelves, or turning bad in storage or in shipping. And in doing that, a lot of times they lose some of the flavor. They lose a lot of the characteristics that you get in the heirlooms. But that doesn't mean that their seeds won't grow. They're just not necessarily going to be what you expected. And it might be a good surprise, and it might be a big disappointment. But you know, that's kind of fun, isn't it? So it might not be such a bad idea to collect some seeds from your hybrids and grow them out, and not make them the only thing that you grow in your garden, but just as an experiment to see what you get off of them. You might be happy. You might have a happy surprise. So that's about it, y'all. That is about it. One last look. So there you go, y'all. See you next time.